This time on Word on the Street, a festival came to Iowa City.
And later, an exclusive in-studio interview. So sit back, relax,
and here's the Word on the Street.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Word on the Street. I'm Grace Lathrop.
And I'm Hannah Lipski. We are here every other week to provide you your national and local entertainment news.
We have an exciting show for you today and a surprise coming up. Hannah, it's so great to be back, and I must say I certainly missed you.
Aw, Grace, I missed you too. And it's very great to be back in these seats. And this week, Grace, we have a very special guest. But before we get into that, DITV's Madison Johnson covered a special festival that happened downtown this weekend.
Here at Hampshire Auditorium, art is able to unite those from the Iowa City community and from around the world through the words and themes of James Baldwin. The festival featured readings from undergraduate and graduate student writers at the University of Iowa, sharing works influenced by Baldwin.
And usually they are holding themselves back from being kind of fully revealed to other people in their lives, and there's a real loneliness in that has always felt so palpable to me.
While the festival focused on the American story, those from other countries were also able to connect with his work.
He was a fighter actually for colonized people rights, and it's understandable in Ukraine because we were colonized by the Russian Empire.
Ultimately, Baldwin provides community to those who need it.
To be able to, fight against everything that's pushing up against you and be like, hey, despite all of that, we're going to make this thing happen. And it's a lot of freaks who've been pushed to the margins coming together and being like, no. You guys are actually weird for not getting on board with this.
As the Infinite Dream Festival wraps up, the legacy of James Baldwin lives on. From Hampshire Auditorium, Madison Johnson, DITV.
This month, Hampshire Auditorium has a stacked calendar full of a variety of events.
We've got music, dance, comedy, and even sing-alongs. Let's take a look at the upcoming dates and names.
Brooklyn Ryder and Stephen Schick are coming this week to Hampshire, and in the following weeks, a traveling dance gala will be taking the stage.
Towards the end of October, Renee Fleming will also be coming to Iowa City, and shortly after, an interactive Encanto sing-along will be available for students and residents to participate in. Comedian Gary Goldman will also take the Hampshire stage on November 9th.
Well, it looks like we've got a lot of great things coming to Iowa City this month, but Grace, I am personally super excited for the traveling Broadway show season to start. Kicks off with Dear Evan Hansen on December 10th.
Yeah, Hannah, me too. Last year I saw the traveling Broadway of Hairspray at Hampshire, which was just so fantastic, and I can't wait for them to come back this year.
Yeah, I actually heard that one of Iowa's very own alumni played the lead in Hairspray last year. They let her go on.
That's exactly right, Hannah. She did, and she absolutely killed it.
We should get our tickets to see Dear Evan Hansen and see it together.
Let's do it. Let's
Perfect.
go.
Okay, the University of Iowa Theater Department kicked off their performance season on September 20th with the first workshop of the semester. Now, Grace, I'm a musical theater student, and these shows, specifically the workshops, are a great opportunity for undergrads.
Yeah, Hannah, for sure. It's a great way for students to get some hands-on experience and really learn how a real show is run and produced, too.
Yeah, so there are 3 different categories of shows in the theater department, starting with the main stage, then gallery and workshops. And the main stage are the largest, and they're already established, and they're shows that the department needs to buy the rights for. And those are mostly upperclassmen, undergrads, and graduate students. And then after that, it gets to the galleries, which have a bigger budget than the workshops. They're a little bit more established, more full costumes and set pieces, and you have to be completely memorized. But these workshops, like T-Rex Formation that just opened, is a perfect opportunity for undergrad students that are just starting out in the department to kind of jump right in. It's a little bit low pressure, and you don't always have to be fully memorized, and it's just like a fun way to get to know people.
Yeah, absolutely, Hannah. This sounds like a great opportunity for the writers as well.
100%. The department is actually built off of the writers, and most of the shows they do are written by graduate and undergraduate writers in the program. So we have T-Rex Formation to kick off this season.
This show is about a group of teens at a Catholic summer camp. During the show, the characters battle adolescence and everything that comes with it. And also the legends of the camp. This show is comedic and has LGBTQ themes.
We have a very special guest with us today from the University of Iowa Theater Department.
The writer of T-Rex Formation is here in the studio with us. Drum roll, please.
MK Schultz. We have MK here in the studio with us. And now, MK, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name's MK Schultz. I'm a third year at the university. I'm studying English and creative writing and theater and Spanish. So
Awesome. So can you tell us the idea about your show?
yeah, so it actually originated my senior year of high school. A friend of mine was like, hey, there's this movie, and it's called Velocipaster. And it's super campy. I've not seen this movie, but he was like, you should turn it into a play. And I was like, okay. And in the movie, this priest turns into a dinosaur. I like werewolf style. I haven't seen it because I didn't want to copy it. And so I started to just do an adaptation, and I was like, this is boring. I want to make my own thing. But the idea of church and dinosaur just haunted my brain, and then eventually this happened. So
That's awesome.
Did you know that you always wanted to be a playwright?
I have been writing plays since I was about 8 or 9. I've done theater since I was about that old, and pretty quickly I was like, but what if I wrote my own? So I still have some that I wrote when I was in 3rd and 4th grade in notebooks and stuff at home. They're okay.
That's awesome. Awesome. And then could you tell us a little bit about what this show is about? Just kind of take us through the themes, take us through the plot, any kind of hints at what's to come type of thing.
Yeah, so it's a bunch of 15-year-olds. They've all just finished their freshman year of high school, and they're all coming back to Catholic church camp, Camp Hildegard. Camp Hildegard for life. And there's 3 main girls that are kind of our main characters, and one's gone to public high school, one's gone to a Catholic high school, and one's gone to this bougie prep school. And a lot of things change in your freshman year of high school. You learn a lot about yourself and about the world, and the 3 of them are kind of coming in with their new perspectives and trying to come back to this place that they all want to be at, and they want to be with their friends, but everyone's changing. So it kind of deals with Danny, who is the one that's gone to public school. She's not super feeling the religion stuff anymore, but she's still at camp to see her friends. Louise, who's gone to the prep school, is back at camp, and she's like, everything has to be the same because my freshman year was bad and it was confusing and hard. So everything needs to be the same. It's camp, and all my friends are here. And then Beth is coming from the Catholic high school, and spoiler alert a little bit. It's implied pretty early on, but she does realize she's queer at this camp, and that is a lot for her 15-year-old brain after being Catholic her whole life. So, and the 3 of them interacting with other people at the camp, each other, trying to figure out what they're gonna do. And then also, there may or may not be a dinosaur that stirs things up even further. So, yeah, I don't know. Those are the big things. Religion's a big theme, but I think it's not anti-religion in a way that I was trying to explain to my grandparents before they came. I was like, it's not anti-religion, but it is talking about religion a lot. And there's a lot of queer themes, and just kind of coming of age, trying to figure out who you are and how you're going to operate in the world around you. So, yeah, I don't know. That's the big stuff.
That's awesome. Great. And then how do you feel like the theater department at Iowa supports the writers and specifically supported you in your show and getting it on stage?
Yeah, there's a really good dynamic in the playwriting world within the theater department. We have, I think, 6 or 7 workshops this year happening. So those are all undergrad written plays. And then there's, a whole cohort of grad playwrights that are producing stuff constantly. So it's really exciting to be a part of this community, and there's just a lot of people that care about playwriting, and it's so exciting to put it all together. So yeah, I applied, submitted this for a workshop, got approved. We were walked through all the steps of the process, got a team together. We're at auditions with all the staff, and not the staff, the faculty. And then, yeah, it happened. So, yeah.
That's amazing. And I know that we kind of preach a lot here at Iowa being such a good writers program that everything starts with the writers. It all starts, whether that's a play, whether that's a show, whether that's a movie, and the screenwriting program here is just top notch. But kind of going off of that, how did you kind of pull some of your own personal experiences into your show?
Yeah, so I grew up Catholic. I went to Catholic school for like 10 years. I did go to camp, Catholic summer camp, like twice. It was actually not that impactful or memorable. It was like fine, it was chill. But it was more fun to have this all happen at summer camp for obvious reasons. So yeah, I grew up Catholic. I identify as queer. And those two things are often at odds with each other, as I'm sure you can imagine. Yeah. So those two things come up a lot in my writing, and I think 15 is such a volatile age that it was, for me in my life it was, and I know for most people it is, and especially when you combine the world of religion that you grow up in and like new things you're learning about yourself, and when those two things are at odds, it's really scary, and it is absurd, and in some ways absurd like a dinosaur.
I love that.
So yeah, it's a show that means a lot to me. So it's kind of been my baby for the last couple of years, and so it's been really cool to see it happen.
Awesome. Yeah, what was it like seeing it come to life on stage?
It was crazy. I've written like smaller, like 1 act to 10-minute things like throughout high school and stuff. So I've seen things that I've written performed before, but never to this scale. It was crazy that I was like, there's like 6 or 7 people that are giving hours and hours of their time right now, not including the cast. This is just crew, giving hours and hours of their time right now to like make the lights happen, to make the sound happen, just for this like stupid play that I wrote about a dinosaur, you know? I was like, this is crazy. Why are they helping me do this? Like, this is ridiculous. But, then the cast, it's so exciting to see people, because you spend so long creating characters and trying to see if they're fleshed out and trying to see if their motivations make sense and just are the things they're saying, what they would actually say. And then once you finally have people that are actually like in those roles, it like brings them to life in a whole different way. And then suddenly there's people that are really, when you're writing a play, there's like 14 characters in this play. I'm like, okay, so this person does this, person does this, but when there's one person that's acting the role and is just focused on one character, their sole focus is that character. I mean, obviously there's other things going on, but motivation is their character. And so when they come up to you and they're like, I don't think my character would say X, Y, or Z, you're like, oh my God, you're right. Because you've been thinking about this for 3 weeks, and I've been thinking about a million other things for 2 years at this point. So it's so exciting to like work together with actors too, because I mean, I've acted before. It's a really unique experience to like embody a character, and have people do that to each of your characters that you spent so long working on. It's so beautiful, and also it's just like it really turns into a collaborative experience, because there's people being your people, and it's crazy. It's so cool.
Yeah, going off of that, I was actually wondering, so when, it's so unique at Iowa that we get to work with the writers versus other universities that don't get to do as many original compositions, but specifically I've been on the actor side of like when the writer's on the room and like on our end of like, questioning things, or like, I wonder what this would be like, or if this changed. What is like on your end getting feedback from actors about like either criticism or just like, I think this would go in a different direction about your work that you've like, spent all this time on, and how do you take that and like, this is your baby, how do you take that and like, okay, like I have to consider something else maybe, what I mean?
It can be weird, because you've spent so long, like you said, like working on something, and then someone could come in and be like, I don't think that this is what my character would say or do. And I mean, at the end of the day, like as the playwright, you do have control over what, and sometimes, but it often turns into a conversation of, well, I think your character would do this because X, Y, and Z. And then usually I feel like I can, not that this happens often, no, I'm like fighting with actors or anything, but it turns into a conversation of, this is why I think your character would do this or say this, and then they say their point, and sometimes, usually we can it's either a miscommunication, not miscommunication, but just like we're not quite on the same page about a character's motivations. And sometimes I have to be like, well, remember in this part, in this scene, they say this. And then they're like, okay, yeah, but what about X, Y, and Z? So it really just becomes a conversation. And oftentimes, I mean, sometimes I'm like, yeah, no, you're right. That's totally wrong, and I'm going to change it. And other times I'm like, think about it, and we'll come back to it, and we can talk about it again later. So it really is just collaborative. It's not like, this is my play, and I wrote it, and I am in charge. Like, I want to hear what other people have to say about it, obviously, because that's how you make it better. So
I was just wondering,
Yeah.
that's cool.
That's awesome. And what's next for you? What are you hoping to do after you graduate or the rest of your time here at Iowa?
I'm planning on submitting another show for workshop next year. I don't have that written yet, and I'm not sure how to top the dinosaur, but we'll figure that out when we come to it. I also am really involved in like improv and comedy and stuff, so I'd like to keep doing that to some extent. Post-college, I'm also a creative writing major, so I'm writing fiction stuff all the time. The world is my oyster, and by that I mean I have no idea what I'm going to do exactly, but those are my big interests and goals. So, yeah.
I feel like as an Iowa grad, especially, there's so many opportunities because everyone knows the writing program here, and especially like the graduate playwright workshop, like a lot of those shows go to Broadway. So I feel like as a writer here, you have so many more opportunities just because people know the writing university.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Such a great alumni network.
It's so
all throughout Iowa.
It's so hard to pick like. I might go to grad school, I don't know, but my parents are like, oh, you should do the creative writing program because it's so good. I'm like, yes, it is so good, but also the playwriting program is so good.
Yeah.
It's like, why can't I do everything?
Exactly.
So feel you. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I really enjoyed getting to know you and your play a little bit more, and congratulations on all of your success.
Thank you. It's been a lot of fun.
And I hope to see another show of yours on stage next year.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, MK, for joining us.
And thank you guys so much for tuning in to our episode of Word on the Street.
Grace and I will be here every other week to update you on national and local entertainment news. I'm Hannah Lipski.
And I'm Grace Lathrop, and we'll see you next time on Word on the Street.